Okay, can I sing now?
That's not even a recognizable tune.
For black people, it is.
No, for someone
Black
who is
people,
able to hear through all the wrong notes.
Yeah. If you're a black person over the age of 29, what song is that I just sang? Please let me know. So Sam knows how ridiculous he is. That is an infamous song. I won't tell you until we get the comments. We are back, little babies. Podcast.
What is
in
up?
A professional way.
This is the Callbacks podcast. I am Sam Salem, and to my virtual right, I think, is our co-host.
Yeah, or left.
Deacon Dan, a.k.a. Lil Dan, a.k.a. number 46 on the Elon roster. Now he's on a lot of ladies roster.
Ooh,
please give it up for Danny Sellers.
Mr. I'm not for the streets. I'm not allowed to. I'm for the cul-de-sac.
There's multiple, but it's contained. It's not open-ended like that. I'm for the cul-de-sac. That's funny.
Cul-de-sac, dog.
For those of you new to the program and returners, shout out to every single 300 million individual colleagues out there. Every single American that tunes in, and the few non-Americans. We are virtual. We're normally in a very professional studio with a great 6K setup, but unfortunately, I mentioned this on the podcast before, but unfortunately, my mom is in hospice right now, so longer stay than anticipated that I'm back home. So just real quick, we'll get to doing the bits. We're all about bringing laughter, but sometimes life happens, and so every single person that is going through loss, that is going through a trying season, on social media, it might just look like Danny and I are just pursuing the dream
in the streets.
And, but real life is happening, and I know if you were just to follow me on social media, I know it looks like, sold out show, hanging with nephew, but really, professionally, one of the best years of my life. Personally, the worst year of my life. So to everybody who just feels like unseen or unheard, that's a quick we love you, and that's not why you follow us. We're more about the humor, but just real life happens. So thanks for bearing with us as we do a remote episode.
Thank you, little babies. We're recording this the night before it drops too, so very last minute, urgent. You know what I'm saying? Up to date, current events. A lot of things are going on in the world. This
is literally hours before. This is the most recent recording to listening you'll hear. So before we get into the shenanigans, before we get into everyone's favorite bits of Danny shaming me for being a white person,
yes, one of the best ones.
We like to do a segment, Danny, trademark Danny Sellers mental health check. What's our mental health on, Danny?
Little babies and little babettes. My mental health feels like.
What's the difference between a baby and a babette?
I just made it up, bro. What do you mean? There's no difference.
Respect.
Unless you wanted to be a difference.
I love it. I respect it.
But my mental health this week feels like a first date. It's like I'm nervous. It could go great. It could go bad. I don't know if I'm too early. I don't know if I'm too late. Parking sucks. That's my life right now. It's bad parking. It's I don't know if the food's gonna be good. It's all of that and the above right now. But sometimes the first date slaps. Sometimes.
Either way, the first date, not that, have I ever even really been on a first date before? I don't think I have, but it just seems like either way, it's going to be a story, Yeah,
100%. The thing about the first date is, or even the first couple of dates, you're getting there separately. So you gotta figure out how late you should be within reason. That's the number one. I'm a very timely person, so I'll show up to
so timely
on time. Yeah, on time, and it's just like, I'm 15 minutes late. Now I'm sitting there looking like an idiot at the table for 20 minutes, and I'm like, you don't want to get a full drink before she gets there. But
yeah, especially
you got to check in,
and
you got to get there early to find parking, but then wait. Then that makes it a little bit more like, all right, it's not as bad, but yeah. And then after that, you just kind of got to get through the little awkward first little 15 minutes, and then you coast through the vibes.
Yeah,
I've gotten the first date down to art.
You what?
I've gotten the first date down to an art.
Is that a positive thing?
Yeah, I mean, because dates aren't necessarily like you're having sex with everybody. Just sometimes a date, and I think at our big age, sometimes a date is like a very.
I love when you say at our big age.
We're 31, bro. We're not 24 anymore. Like as adults, you should be able to go on dates and not think too much of it. Like, you shouldn't be expecting a bunch. True. You shouldn't be demanding a bunch. Like. Sometimes you go on the first date and it's just like, we're just cool and we're just homies, or
just spend some
you
time.
might like this person. Yeah, you might like this person, but the timing might not be right. So you might go on a date and then you might not do nothing for months and months and months. And then you reconnect. Oh, it's a little vibe now. Like, we're both maybe in town now, or you just finished the job, or maybe you were getting over somebody, vice versa. And then the vibes are right. That's my biggest thing I can get anybody dating right now. A lot of people I feel like complain about dating, and especially in the big city that we live in. Just don't take it serious. Not in the sense that you don't respect people's time, but don't take it serious in the sense. Yeah, don't take it like, don't expect anything. Just go.
Treat it like you're a commercial actor auditioning. You send the audition in and you just forget about it and don't expect a callback. And if the callback comes, great.
That's it.
Callbacks are great. Callbacks is great. I want to get back to you being a timely person thing, because I feel like every relationship, I hate Danny so much. One time we were talking about how he's always on time to things and I'm late. He's like, yeah, that's why I was D1 and you weren't.
Yeah.
So first off, you're a menace for that. Second off, Danny would be like, sorry, I'm running a little late today. Most people, when you say, hey, let's meet up at 11 a.m., most people knows that means like you can show up around 11:15. Danny will be like, oh, sorry, I'm running a little late. And he shows up at 11:03. It's like, that's on time.
Yeah.
And he's the same guy who's like, oh, yeah, you can come in my car. Sorry, it's a little messy. And there's a single gum wrapper on the driver or the passenger side floor. And it's like, that's not messy. That's just you dropped something.
I should have been a Navy SEAL, bro.
Yeah.
I like America.
Well, that's the mental health. Mental health is on first date status. My mental health is you can't even for podcasting. It's too dark to share.
A good restaurant can help a vibe out tremendously. I went to finding new restaurants in the city that you live. I challenge anyone that's, whether you live in a big city or not, even if you live in a smaller city, find cool new restaurants. I'm not a crazy foodie per se, but a lot of restaurants, the vibe alone is like, oh, this is a good chance to get out the house, a good little, watch the game, good little have a drink. And maybe this is what everybody does at our big age, but I haven't been doing this as most of my adulthood, at least not enough. But finding new restaurants kind of slaps. And it's not always the fanciest ones. It's just decent $30 plates, slaps. Especially in LA. Dude. So many options. It's crazy.
Dude, that's a great point. Nothing like a dive bar. Me and Joe Dombrowski, fellow alumni of this podcast, he's a big bad touring headliner I got to open from in Minneapolis, and we went to this place called Matt's Bar, which, if you know, Minneapolis, home of the Juicy Lucy, which is a famous cuisine. And it's it's all they sell. It's 2 hamburger patties formed around a block of cheese, so the block of cheese just melts inside the burger, and it kind of is explosive, to be honest. But
nothing that says Juicy Lucy.
It is the diviest spot, and there's nothing like a good mental health reset by just having a pitcher of beer in the diviest bar you can find. That's the
a good Midwest bar. A good Midwest bar is undefeated for sure, bro.
Speaking of Midwest bars, I went to a Midwest barbecue this weekend, and tell me why this house had bulk store-bought Arby's sauce.
Yeah, that's tragic. You sent me this picture, and I thought, like you get like something like it's not safe for work on your phone when you're at work. I was at home, and you sent it to me, and I still was like worried. Like, hold on, what? Like, what's going on? Like, I thought I didn't close the tab or something. It was disgusting to see that on my phone show up. Why does that exist?
For the visual watchers, I'm holding it up. This is not like Arby's, which who's eating at Arby's? Actually, I kind of like Arby's, right. Low-key.
Still?
Arby's roast beef. I haven't had it in a long time, but if someone was like, I'm going to Arby's, I'm like, yeah, let me get a roast beef and curly fries. Anyway,
oh my God.
This house just didn't have extra like packets from Arby's. They had a full, like the same way you would buy a bottle of Hidden Valley Ranch or Frank's Red Hot. They had a bottle of Arby's sauce, and I texted Danny saying, what do you do if you pull up to the function and they got Arby's sauce? And he's like, leave immediately. The fact that they went to the store specifically and bought a la carte Arby's sauce is concerning.
That's tragic, bro. That's disgusting. That's an executive
shout out my
decision.
Uncle Don.
And did he stand in it 10 toes? Like, yeah, bro, I bought it. And so what?
My uncle who bought it was just like, dude, I saw this at the store and it was hilarious. I just had to buy it. He was like, it's just funny to me that they had it. My other uncle was like, just enveloping his Caribbean jerk chicken in Arby's sauce. I'm saying, what? God. This is the best. So, what's your? So, shout out Uncle Scott for standing 10 toes in Arby's sauce. What's your? That's what I want in the DMs and in the comments. Y'all been more active in the DMs. I want what's your unpopular condiment of choice? Because we got some people here in Minnesota really rocking with Arby's sauce.
Yeah, let us know. I mean, I'm number one. Honey mustard is my go-to.
Yeah,
and I'll eat honey mustard with. Yeah, well, I don't like Polynesian sauce from Chick-fil-A. A lot of people, I feel like either honey mustard or like barbecue / Polynesian. Is it really Polynesian sauce? That is, yeah. Caucasian sauce.
No, I'm saying you're not liking it is what's racist.
Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies. The Polynesian
Caucasian sauce is just vinegar with a hard R.
Let's go. That's a good bit, brother.
We're doing bits on the podcast.
Good bit. My brother and joke.
You opened up for Chinadu Naka, former guest of the pod.
Yes. UCSB. Beautiful camp. I've been to Santa Barbara once. I did this last week. I've been to Santa Barbara once, and that was my second time. If I went to a school that beautiful, I don't know if I would have made it. Like it's on the beach,
unbelievable. Bro. It's on the beach. It is like a lot of people in Minnesota and Wisconsin, Midwest, they have cabins like where it's like, okay, Minneapolis is the city, you live in the suburbs, you drive 2 hours outside of the cities, and it's just like middle of nowhere, but you can buy a nice house on a lake and it's just peaceful. Santa Barbara is like the LA version of having a cabin, because it's still like a real city with a ton of stuff, but at the same time, it's slower pace of life than LA. There's wine tasting rooms everywhere. The nightlife is crazy. The ocean, like, yeah, I don't know how people went. Crazy. I needed a boarding school.
Yeah, my school was, relatively, my school was boring for sure. Like private school, even when I was private school, it had like almost 6,000 students. So it wasn't tiny, but it wasn't big, but it was in a boring town. And I would go visit like UNC. I used to date this girl with UNC, and then I used to meet people at the other school at like Wake Forest. Wake was kind of small, but it was still like a bigger school, just notoriety. Right. And there was other big schools around it. And I would go to UNC specifically and be like, oh, this is what college is actually like. Like if I went to school here, I would not be a complete human being. Like it's so much fun to be had all the time. That like even Duke, it's just like a different pace. It's levels to like going to college. I had a couple of homies that went to like military schools or like super strict religious. I guess you went to a super strict religious school. Yeah. And I'm just like, bro, I don't know how I would have. Even that is extreme. Like it seems like I wouldn't have made it. Just like off of not being able to have fun.
Yeah, we couldn't even be in the girls' dorm, not even like the rooms. Like we couldn't even be in like the lobby hanging out past like
Yeah,
11 o'clock at night or whatever. And in college, like 11 is like that's when like the night begins of like hanging out, like
yeah.
So that's what's crazy. But was Santa Barbara with Chinadu anything notable? Just opening like was it a college? Was it for college kids? Like it was a college gig or was it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was at the college. It was good. It was good, man. Like it was just. That was the first time I ever got to open for somebody, on the road, quote unquote. So that was dope. I was super appreciative of it, and just like it's one of those things where, and this too. Now you're starting to open up for people, just getting those reps and the repetition and the experiences of just opening up to somebody, going somewhere outside of where you normally do shows, thinking about the audience, thinking about how you adjust your jokes a little bit, thinking about maybe what the headliner is going to say, maybe you don't want to step on their toes. It's just like a good experience, and it makes you feel like, oh, I'm starting to do the right thing in this comedy game because someone wants me to open for them. And that's like, if people that are listening, when you headline and you ask someone to open for you, that's like one of the biggest compliments you can get as an up and coming comedian, essentially, because that person's handpicking you as like the opening act, as the person to warm the crowd up per se. They trust you at least.
Right, yeah. It's not just like, hey, come do this show. We're all doing 10 minutes. It's like, hey, my fans have paid for a sitter. They've paid $30 for tickets. This is their one night out for the week, for the month, for the year. Like, I trust you to give them a good night. And it is a great experience. Like I mentioned, I got to open for Joe Dombrowski. Check him out if you don't already. A couple of you, I'm so bad with remembering names, but that was cool after too. Like you do meet and greet with all the fans, and two of y'all, one of the nights came up randomly, and we're just like, I didn't know you were going to be here. I listened to Callbacks. One of them had the same name as my sister. I want to say it's Hannah. Hannah, is it Hannah? If you're out there, slide in the Callbacks DMs and say, oh, it was me. But thank you for saying what's up. But yeah, I obviously the goal is to like be how amazing would it be to be the headliner that's selling out theaters. But in terms of like, in terms of just like how chill it is, middling or featuring for someone, for those unfamiliar with stand-up comedy, like typically on the road, at the comedy clubs, there'll be host that does anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes, and then a feature act that'll do anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes, and then it'll be the headliner that does anywhere from 45 to an hour. To be that middle or feature act, the host already did the hard part where they're having to perform while people are ordering their food. They're haven't quite had a drink and they haven't settled in. They maybe don't understand comedy. They're like, oh, I thought it was just going to be the headliner the whole time. The host bites the bullet. The middle, it's just like, I don't have to worry about ticket sales because I'm not headlining. I don't have to worry about hosting and introducing. I just get to show up, carefree, get free drinks and
do
food
a good amount of time too.
Yeah, and do a good amount of time. So, and it's just, dude, you meet. I've realized from Joe Dombrowski's fans are truly some of like the coolest, most laid back, supportive people in comedy. Like they were all so nice, but also on the road, people are crazy. Like I say this all the time. People are like, oh, Sam, how could you be a teacher? Like kids are crazy. It's like, have you met adults? Like if you put any age group, if you put 2,000 people in the same age group in the same building, it's going to be insane. Whether that's 15-year-olds or that's 40-year-olds. And that's sometimes what it feels like after a big sold out comedy show, because the people will like bring gifts and people are like trying to get attention, whatever it is. Or I'm taking pictures for Joe because he's got all these fans, and so they're going through, and this one woman is like basically just like, hey, come over here. If we're gonna cheat, let's at least do it right. And I'm thinking like, because they were both standing in a line and it looks like they were budging the line. So I thought she meant like, hey, if we're going to skip all these people. But no, what she meant was like, they were like cheating on their partners and going out together and then like taking a picture and documenting it. And I'm just like, how do you like,
nice.
Look, let those without sin cast the first stone. But also at the same time, I'm like, bro, what? Like, who just openly says that to a comedian? Like oh yeah, this is anyway. So it's funny seeing people. It's funny seeing people out on the road and just.
The shows are fun though. The shows are good. Like it was rocking.
yeah, those were awesome. And then I also headlined with Eli Leonard, another alum of the pod. We did a co-headlining thing and had a couple sold out shows. And that's when you forget, like, oh yeah, like this is what it could be. Like you actually get paid a livable wage, and it's a packed house, and you get to do 40 minutes and spend time doing crowd work. So I want to shout out everyone who came from that. I know the homie Trey, who regularly listens to the podcast, he DM'd the podcast and was like, well, Danny's not going to be there, so I guess I'll just go to support the other guy that isn't Sam. He's doing bits in the DMs.
Big bit.
Yeah. So it's cool. How it's been a couple weeks. How are you feeling since your congrats? Your special hit 10,000 views on YouTube.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, man. It's when I first dropped this special, for people that are listening, when I uploaded it, I'm thinking like, if I can get just over 1,000 views on this, I won't look like an idiot. Because I had no subscribers on my YouTube. I had maybe like 7 or 8 maybe shorts on my YouTube at the point. I had like maybe 20 subscribers. So I had no real momentum on my YouTube channel at all. And a lot of comedians these days are putting out specials with like production companies. So they have like 800-pound gorilla or 4x3 or whatever, these production companies that are, or Don't Tell. And
Comedy
they have
Dynamics,
Comedy Dynamics. So their channels, they might be on YouTube, but their channels have a little bit of following already. So when their special gets posted, they can kind of fall in line with some of that viewership that these channels have, which is a good thing. More people see your stuff. It's like a different version of a Netflix special. Essentially, you're getting the co-sign by Netflix. They own the rights to it, maybe, and whatever. I don't know the exact details of how these production companies work with how they license it out, whatever. But I just wanted to put it out, not have to try to sell it, all that stuff. So then when I hit over 10,000 views a couple days ago since this came out. And that was, even that alone is just like, bruh, amazing. Because like I said, I'm expecting maybe get a little 1,000, 1,500, and maybe off of me posting on Instagram or something, I'll eventually get to 5, 10 after a couple of months. So that's been like super cool to see. And 10,000 in the grand scheme of things, sure, it's not like the biggest number compared to all the YouTube specials you see. But I think like my circumstances of just getting started, having nothing on my page, and that's all being just organic people following, commenting, sharing with it, and then the algorithm kind of picking it up slowly. I feel super good about it, bro. And I posted about this today on Instagram. But the thing I love the most about putting art out is that when people give you specific feedback, sometimes people just be like, "Oh, good job," or your set was so funny, or whatever. But when people give you like specific jokes, as if it's like a song on an album, like I love this specific song. That is like the most rewarding thing, because as you know, we put so much work into these jokes, and a lot of times these jokes are stuff that's happened to us in real life. So we internalize this kind of traumatic or frustrating or annoying thing and put it into a humorous thing. It's such a rewarding feeling to get that specific feedback. And it's been all over the place as far as the things that people like. It hasn't been just like one thing in particular. It's been like this joke or that joke or the beginning or the middle. So people are really watching it. So it's been great, man. I'm excited about it. I'm going to keep clipping it up, and then hopefully the goal is to be able to use it in a way that I can maybe get a Comedy Central little digital set, or use that to submit for JFL next year, so I don't have to like worry about getting tapes for JFL. Or, just kind of taking some of the ease out of what does Danny do, and just having that to show people, for next year is like the biggest goal of it. I'm not gonna make any money off of it unless I sell it after the fact. So yeah, it's been crazy. It's been good.
Yeah, you should definitely be so proud, and I think that's a testament too. And one thing that's, I scroll through the comments every once in a while of yours, like a proud uncle out here, like just like, yeah, that's my dad. But it's cool to see, like you said, there's your beginning of it is a little alt, like it's not like it really displays your acting chops. And like my dad watched and he's like, wow, like Danny's acting like multiple times, kind of the point where I'm like, this is getting awkward, like I'm your son, please support my comedy. No, he's like, man, the acting's good. And I mean, obviously, yes, in a perfect world, you'd be like, everybody loves every single thing that I do. But I think it's kind of awesome when you see 3-4 comments like, wow, I love the beginning, that was so special. And then one random person hating on it. And it's like, what is this? It's like, clearly you didn't get it. Like, here's all these people that like, or even the fact that sometimes I try to reposition, like reframe my mindset of like, dude, like you said, you had like no subscribers on YouTube, and now all of a sudden you're getting enough views where random people are hate commenting on it. It's like, dude,
right.
That honestly, that is sick, because yeah, if it was all hate comments, but it's like, it's clearly there's so many more likes and views and shares than there are like the couple like random maybe 2 comments on it. But that even is also a testament to like, look how this is reaching people by word of mouth, by people sharing, and people actually taking the time. Like, yeah, in the day and age of Reels and TikTok, it's like, oh, if it's less than 1 million, it's nothing. But also 10,000 people like took time to watch, and not. It's easy to get. It could be easy to get 10,000 people to watch something for 20 seconds, but like to put out a half-hour special and actually get people to tune in for a quarter, a half, all of it, like a long-form thing. Like, people have such short attention spans. So if you haven't,
I look at it in a couple
special. Go ahead.
Yeah. I look at it in a couple different ways. How this is affecting me. One, to your point for sure. Like, I can't judge 10,000 views on a 40-minute special to TikTok, because it's two different things. But also, more importantly, it's and I never was like this before I put this out, but it's definitely has changed my perspective on judging people's art as a creator too. Like, a lot of podcast culture now is just like, we don't do this, but a lot of podcasts are just replying to current events. Who put something out? And then let's critique it. That's what, literally 70% of shows are like that, if not more. And this kind of reaffirmed, like, bro, you really gotta not only watch people's stuff with a blank slate, but also like understand where they're coming from with it. Like, understand the background of it. Like, take the time to research. Like, when I look at movies sometimes, it's nothing that I like more than watching the movie and then going back and like researching what the story, like what the origin of the story was, or like, was this character real, dive. Or like after the facts, and it makes you appreciate the stuff way more. Like House of Gucci, when I watched that movie, it's like, I want to know how much of that stuff was real. And it's such a funny kind of corny movie, but it's like, oh, this is kind of actually what happened. This is dope. Like, the clothes was real, all this kind of stuff. It really happened. And so I think a lot of us need to, before we critique people, like actually learn how to make stuff. And it happens too in sports sometimes. You'll see it where, Shannon Sharp will be used to be arguing with Skip when they were both on the same show. And Shannon's like, bro, you don't know what it's like to play in the NFL. And it's like, it's true. You don't want to just diminish people's opinions, but at a certain point, it's like, bro, if you don't make stuff, it's super easy for you to just only critique people's stuff.
Definitely.
And we're all owed an opinion for sure, but I just think my perspective on how I judge people's art is totally different.
Yeah, like, especially after, like you said, doing a special, seeing how much it takes to, whether it's money, time, resources, communication, to just get off something,
Yeah.
And that's even more like homegrown, grassroots. Like, it gives people more respect. It gives you more respect for people like actually trying to put stuff out there. I mean, that's what even I feel like sometimes it's easy for comedians to look at the people who are in favor of the algorithm and who are posting all like the crowd work clips, and it's like, they don't even have real jokes, it's just crowd work. Dude, after like headlining some shows where I like, have crowd work bits that I want, like the amount of time that it goes to like either yourself to actually clip it up, edit it, like angles this, or the people who are the headliners that are fortunate enough where they're successful, where they can bring in their own camera people. Like, even that, having gotten to open for some of those people, like the amount of time that they're sitting down with them discussing it, like they're basically talking about it like they are launching their own TV show. They're like, okay, from this time to this time, and I want you to focus on this and edit it like this. And it just even makes you realize, like, okay, we can all hate on the people for oh, they're just a corny crowd work comic or whatever it is. But it's like, dang, the amount of, I think that goes for all of life. If you take the angle of like, one, I've been, like I said, my mom going through hospice, I've been trying to lead with more empathy. Like if you take the angle of empathy and like, oh, what did they have to go through to make that happen? I think it makes you, one, more appreciative, and it makes you, one, more like inspired and collaborative to then make your art better in the first place. Mm-hmm. So anyway, we're getting a little more introspective and real on this episode. You know, sometimes
we're
real
31.
life happens and it can't all be bits.
I'm 31.
I'm grown. You're not my dad.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have any dates, or are we doing dates this week, or are we doing this week?
Yeah, you can tell how well planned this is, guys. This is just a quick little callback. Baby. Our callback today is I need you to email callbackspod@gmail.com. Slide in the DMs on Instagram, callbackspod. Slide in Danny's DMs, follow Sellers, follow in mine, same as Sleeves. What was the thing?
Don't slide in my DM.
What was the thing at your school that, looking back, that maybe you? What was the thing looking back at that at your school was problematic that you didn't realize was problematic? Or look, we're doing bits. We're trying lighthearted, funny. Yeah. Well, some of these aren't that lighthearted, funny, but like we can make them. But maybe even you knew they're problematic. Because recently, I've talked about this on the pod before. I've kind of talked about it on stage, but I had this school that was trying so hard to be welcoming to the LGBTQIA plus community that on National Coming Out Day, they're like, at a school assembly, they're like, we believe love is love, and we support you. So if you're gay, stand up. And the kids are just like, no, like you're rounding us up. So I posted.
You just said that before we started recording, and it still makes me laugh. Thinking about the different scenarios of like what the kids' faces was like, and also the people that didn't know they were going to do this, like the adults in the room. I was like, hold on, what? Because after no one stood up, they had to immediately felt like, oh, this is the dumbest shit I could have ever suggested in my life.
Yeah, it was not thought through. So anyway, I told the story on social media and posted it, and we got a couple comments. This one made me laugh. It's always churches. Man, churches be churching sometime, because this woman wrote in saying, let me pull it up real quick. Back in the day when I used to go to church, my husband and I were going to a church where the super old pastor was going on and on about celebrating diversity and how they had a goal of having a diverse congregation. And then they literally asked all of the minority congregants to stand up so we could clap for them.
That's awkward.
Same thing. Yes. In what world is it like an old white guy is
Black
like,
people stand up.
Let us tokenize you even more. Like, look it, we're not all white.
And they're all in the back too. Like, stand up in the rafters, blacks.
And the other person that wrote in saying that their school in the early 2000s for African American or Black History Month made fried chicken and watermelon for lunch.
That's wild. We also
Somebody needs to be, whoever did that needs to be fired.
Yeah, 100%. At Elon, where I went to college, we had fried chicken Thursdays. Every Thursday, fried chicken. It wasn't racist. It was actually phenomenal. But it was funny because at my school,
it wasn't racist. It was actually phenomenal. That's the tagline for this podcast.
Yeah, right. It wasn't. It was just every week in our school. Let me know if your school is like this too, or people that are listening. We had multiple dining halls. There's always like the newest dining hall. Then there was like the medium one, and there was kind of like the old one that like first started when the school started. So we had this medium one, but all the most ratchetest people in the local town worked at this one specific dining hall. It was called Harding Dining Hall at Elon. Yeah, I don't know if I have anybody that went to Elon knows Harding Dining Hall. So they would have they would play music. And we would leave practice and go to Fried Chicken Thursdays. It was like the club. Like we would put our school clothes back on after practice to have fried
phone
chicken
clips and all.
as if Yes, polo down.
Business casual.
Yes, cardigans, post-practice, post-college football practice. Fried chicken Thursday. Shout out to Hard Dining Hall. That shit used to jump, bro. Oh my God, it used to jump so hard. Good.
That reminds me. Ours was Thursdays too. We had a cook. Mama D was the cook at our school. Our school was so small, we had one cafeteria. Yeah, and Mama D had soul food Thursdays, and she was sticking her foot in it. Yes, she was going crazy in the kitchen, and she would. This is how you know, like when an old Black lady starts preaching the gospel as she's feeding you soul food. It's just, even if you're not a religious person, it is just an experience. She would always go, "Hey, are you walking in the fog? Are you walking in the fog?" And I'm like, "The fog?" She's like, "The favor of God." And like when it would like drop this whole message as she's serving you like all the soul food. So that's
as a Black kid that went to a predominantly white school, a lot of people, if you're Black, you know, you're went to a predominantly white school. Those lunch ladies and those janitors, those people saved you a little bit. Like they really helped the vibes because they would be like the auntie little, half the time they wouldn't even know your name. They'd just be like, "How you doing, baby?" You would go there 4 years, they wouldn't even know your name, but they would just know you by the vibes, and they would just help your vibe. They give you food, they clean up or whatever, and it was just like, "Oh, this is the best." Like it was your home away from home kind of.
It's like when Jim in the office looks at the camera when Dwight's doing something stupid. Those people for you are like you just could look at them and be like, "This, you seen this white shit?" And they're just like, "I got you. I see it."
Right. Yeah.
That's from my experience. That's from my experience as a Black kid in a predominantly white school.
Yeah.
These are bits. These are bits. All right. We
used to be Black.
You
used to be Black one.
Yeah. Didn't we all? I don't know what that means. That feels really problematic. You know what? Let me get the notes out. Apology ready. Guys, this has been a little more laid back. It's been a little more laid back.
Saying that I was African American. Sorry, I'm running over your thoughts. Go ahead, brother.
No, you're not running over me. I'm more, my internet connection's bad, so if it seems like we're talking over each other a little more this episode. Look, this episode's for the true fans. This was more just laid back life update, talking about what we got going on. Before we get out of here, Danny, our second favorite segment, Danny's isms. I feel like you kind of gave it on the pod already, but you got a life lesson with Danny for the road.
Yeah, man. I don't know. My ism this week.
Such a certain, yeah, man. And then immediately, I don't know.
Because I don't know. I mean, I feel like my ism this week, bro, is just like, don't be at home. I feel like I might have wrote something down, but I don't think I did. But I just, in general, I do have one, a good one. My ism this week is everybody doesn't have to have a statement about everything. The world is so much complex stuff. I know I had one. That's why I had to pause for a second. Everybody has just something to say about everything. And sometimes it's just exhausting because I think it's okay to just not have the answers and think that whatever is going on in the world is unfortunate. And that is it. I look back sometimes and I think about like, maybe our grandparents were like the last generation, and maybe even our parents a little bit. It's like when you, at that point in time, maybe it was the 50s or even the 60s. Like I guess Vietnam was the first time you kind of saw news globally and like the hippies and stuff. But like you used to not have to worry about what was going on in the world outside of your city and what you could touch. And granted, you don't want to be naive to what's going on in the world and like not be educated about what's going on in the world. But I've been talking to a lot of friends, especially here in LA. And I feel like people's days have been like really, really affected by what's going on in the world. And not to say that they don't have the right to want to know or even like feel bad about what's going on in the world. But I can't personally go throughout every single day worrying about every single thing that's going on in the world globally because it's going to fuck up my day to the point where I can't be a good person to others. And I think I'm not alone in that. I don't think,
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's some really, this podcast is not the source for these kind of things. So I would just say like, we do live in an age where you can educate yourself. So take time to educate yourself. Don't just let, don't be silent on all things. Stand up for, justice. And also at the same time, friend of the pod, Eli Leonard, who like very like majored and studied things in college, like that were in relation to like Israel, Palestine. And like, as someone who is on the receiving end of a lot of anti-Semitism, he was telling me, he's like, I'm trying to teach more of my friends to say that's above my pay grade, kind of to your point, like, and not in a way that it's like, hey, oh, well, I'm just gonna don't ask, don't tell, keep my head in the ground and act naive. Like you still, like, hey, let's stand up for like human issues. But yeah, too many, like when the influencer is like, guys, what's happening is bad. And it's just like, okay, you're not the person that we want to hear from on this.
Yeah. So, I don't know. And it's not even just that. It's the George Floyd stuff. It's like, sometimes we should just, I don't know. It's hard.
Let the experts speak. You got 2 ears and one mouth, so listen twice as much, little babies.
Don't want to end on a bad vibe note. But anyways, thank y'all for listening to Callbacks, little babies and little babettes.
Appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe. Please, some more 5-star ratings would be lovely. Make sure you follow Danny at Follow Sellers. And hey, and lastly, I do, as much as I want you to be fans of us individually, it is cool all the people that I like interact with us or we bump into that are just somehow became fans of the pod. You don't even know, like, you don't follow either of us on social media. You just are like, oh, this seems like a cool pod. Of course, we love when you follow and support us individually, but it's cool that some of y'all just know us as a cool podcast. So thank you for listening.
I could use the followers. Sam doesn't need any more followers. I need them followers. Please.
I'm trying to actually get to 100K. So if I'm so close, if everyone can tell a friend to tell a friend.
Yeah, I need to be able to maneuver in this world. At least give me 10. If I can get 10, I'll shut up. I need 6,000 white ladies from Minnesota to follow me tonight. I know we got an audience. I feel like I'm a preacher. I need.
Sorry if I just ruined that rant at all. The screen just blew up on my side. But whatever Danny said, I stand on 10 toes. Unless it was him saying that I'm a terrible person, then.
I was saying that. I was saying I'm a preacher at the end of the church. Like those gospel telecommercials. I need 3,500 to 6,000 white women from Sam's page to follow me tonight.
Need so that.
I can get popping. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for listening.
Get them safe.